Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The State Council Office discusses draft law of protecting competition and prohibiting monopoly prior to tabling it at the ordinary session of the Council next week. The number of guests at 4- and 5-star hotels in the Sultanate rises by more than 25%. And Israeli warplanes launch multiple airstrikes across the Gaza Strip as Netanyahu cautions against any rush towards wider confrontation with the Hamas group. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received a cable of thanks from His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, Emir of the State of Kuwait, in reply to His Majesty's cable of condolences on the death of Sheikh Sharifa Al-Hamid Al-Mubarak Al-Sabah. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos also received a cable of thanks from His Majesty King Willem Alexander of the Kingdom of Netherlands in reply to His Majesty's cable of greetings on his birthday. The State Council Office, in its 16th meeting of the 3rd annual round, discussed a report referred to it by the Shura Council regarding draft law of protecting competition and prohibiting monopoly prior to tabling it at the ordinary session of the Council due to be held on the 15th of this month. It will be after the Economic Committee completes its current study and prepares a report towards it. Copies of the draft law were already sent to honourable members to put up their remarks before the session convenes to discuss it and approve it. The current round of the Council of Oman has already been extended until approving the draft law in line with the procedures stipulated by the state's basic law. The meeting was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfoud Al-Mantari, Chairman of the State Council. The total number of guests at 4- and 5-star hotels rose by the end of May by more than 25% compared with the same period. The revenue recorded growth by around 10%, reaching more than 77.8 million Omani riyals. The European guests represented the biggest number of 4- and 5-star hotels guests, amounting to 123,000 guests, followed by the Omani with more than 91,000 guests. The Gulf guests came third, followed by Asians. Muscat Securities Market MSM General Index today added 25.85 points, comprising a rise by 0.37% to close at 7,079 points. The trading value today stood at 5.90 million Omani riyals, comprising a decline by 62.7% compared to last session, which stood at 15.82 million Omani riyals. The report released by MSM pointed out that the market value rose by 0.41% since to reach about 15.04 billion Omani riyals. The report added that the value of shares bought by the non-Omani investors reached 300,000 Omani riyals, comprising 5.09%. The value of shares sold by non-Omani investors reached 823,000 Omani riyals, comprising of 13.95%. The net non-Omani investment fell by 8.86% to 523,000 Omani riyals. Public Authority for Consumer Protection, in cooperation with Saud Bahwan Company, had recalled around 100 cars, Lexus GS350 and GS250. The recall includes vehicles manufactured during the period from June 2012 to December of the same year due to malfunction in delivery circle to pressure sensor, key on the brake pedal and in the warning light of a brake indicator, with possibility of activating the brakes in these vehicles. Saud Bahwan Company mentioned that it will change complex support of a brake pedal. Still to come in our news bulletin. Gorillas are bringing tourists dollars to the southwestern part of Uganda. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. In remarks to his cabinet today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledged to do whatever is necessary to restore quiet in southern Israeli communities that have come under rocket attack, but also he cautioned against any rush towards wider confrontation with the Hamas group. In another incident, police said East Jerusalem and flashpoints in Israel's Arab community in the north were quiet today after protesters throwing stones and burning tires clashed with the Israeli police last night. Meanwhile, Israel has arrested suspects in the abduction and killing of a Palestinian teen. Those deaths touched off violent protests in Jerusalem and other Arab towns. 15-year-old Palestinian-American Tariq Khadar, a cousin of the Palestinian teen, was arrested by Israeli border policemen who his family said bit him severely during a protest on Thursday in East Jerusalem. An Israeli court today ordered Khadar released from jail and placed under house arrest for 9 days. In further escalation, Israeli warplanes launched multiple airstrikes across the Gaza Strip this morning without causing injuries. Last night, Israeli jets fired a missile at a group of Palestinians in the Mesbah neighborhood in the Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip, injuring 2. Another airstrike on the southern Gaza hit a poultry farm in Al-Qarara, north of Khan Yunis. Clashes in North Yemen town of Umran continued today between the army and fighters from the Houthi movement after at least 104 people were killed, while in the south 6 soldiers were shot dead by Al-Qaeda militants. The attack was in Mahfad district of the southern Abyan province, in which 2 people were also injured. 22 people were killed in overnight attacks by gunmen in 2 counties on the Kenyan coast, where Al-Qaeda-linked militants last month claimed responsibility for killing 65 people. The Kenya Red Cross said today the last night attacks took place in the towns of Hindi in Lamu County and Gamba in Tana River. Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militants from Somalia claimed responsibility for the attacks. Foreign ministers from Russia, Ukraine, Germany and France meeting in Berlin agreed on a series of steps for a resumption of a ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, German foreign minister, said the agreed bundle of measures could pave the way to the resilient mutual ceasefire. The steps include reopening talks with the goal of reaching an unconditional and mutually agreed sustainable ceasefire to be monitored by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Fighting in eastern Ukraine between government troops and pro-Russian separatists has increased since a much-violated 10-day ceasefire expired late on Monday. Guerrilla tourism has brought economic growth to a densely populated community in southwestern Uganda, but the critically endangered animals continue to create conflict. More in the following report.
These emerald hillsides are a mecca for wildlife enthusiasts who flock to this remote corner of southwestern Uganda for one thing: gorillas. The forest is home to an estimated 400 mountain gorillas, roughly half the world's population, including several families which have become used to human presence. Uganda, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo are the only countries in the world where you can see these mammoth primates. That privilege comes at a price, though. Roughly $600 for a single-entry gorilla trekking permit.
Ça, c'est sûr que déjà, ça fait passer la pilule un peu. On accepte de payer.
It makes it a bit easier, and we are willing to pay that kind of money because we know that a large part of those resources are reinvested in the preservation of the species. And we also felt like we'd experienced something very exclusive.
Après, on a aussi l'impression de vivre quelque chose d'assez exclusif.
Threats to the mountain gorilla, including war, habitat destruction, and disease, were once thought to be so severe that the species could become extinct by the end of the 20th century. But the population has increased significantly in the last 3 decades, largely due to improved conservation efforts. Gorillas are not the only ones benefiting. Tourism dollars have boosted the economy of local communities that surround the park. In addition to income from hotels, souvenir shops, and jobs in the park, Communities also receive 20% of park entry fees and $5 per gorilla trekking license.
Although it can't cover the whole community, but at least, yeah, there is some improvement. Because most of the people used to stay in grass thatched, now they are living in iron sheet. So tourism is doing a great thing. Yeah.
And yet it can be difficult to balance species survival with the needs of a still impoverished region. Human-animal conflict remains. Animals can destroy crops and property, while destruction of the natural habitat and human population growth have pushed people into closer contact with the gorillas, causing transmission of human diseases. Efforts to mitigate these problems include the creation of buffer zones, income-generating activities for local residents, and community health programs. But there is still far to go.
The communities are major stakeholders. They live with these gorillas. They have lived with these gorillas for ages before conservation started. And some of them still look at that forest as their forest, where they use it to access resources like firewood, like medicine. And so we thought that it was very, very important that we still work with the communities and show them that this is still your resource. These gorillas are still for your benefit.
While tourism is far from the silver bullet against poverty, the search for sustainable conservation practices may be the only way to ensure that these communities and their gorilla neighbors continue to share this remote paradise.
During the holy month of Ramadan, markets witness an active movement, especially during the evening after Tarawih prayers. People like to flock to the markets in that period due to the free time as most purchased items are foodstuff. In Ramadan, people are also keen to practice good behaviors and take children to mosques during the prayer times. They also teach children to recite the Holy Quran. Here are the Ramadan times for tomorrow. Fajr prayers will be at 3:59 a.m. and Maghrib prayers will be at 7:03 p.m. The wilayas of Abremi and Mahda in the governorate of Abremi witnessed moderate to heavy rains, causing some wadis to overflow. They were accompanied by thunders and hails. Now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the governorate of the far and nearby mountains, with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear to partly cloudy skies with chances of scattered rain, occasionally thunderous, accompanied by gust winds and hails over parts of the Hajar Mountains during the afternoon. Winds will be southwesterly to moderate to active along the coast of Arabian Sea, while it will be southeasterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coastal areas of Arabian Sea will be with a maximum wave height of 4 meters, and along the rest of the Sultan's coast it will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 2 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The State Council Office discusses draft law of protecting competition and prohibiting monopoly prior to tabling it at the ordinary session of the Council next week. The number of guests at 4- and 5-star hotels in the Sultanate rises by more than 25%. And Israeli war planes launch multiple airstrikes across the Gaza Strip as Netanyahu cautions against any rush towards wider confrontation with Hamas group. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studio and the newsroom, it's good night.